After Microsoft just went out and spent $69 billion on Blizzard Activision, it looks like Sony's backed into a corner, and a lot of people are speculating that they're going to make a major purchase coming soon. And there's a lot of speculation that Sony wants to take over Take-Two, which is the major publisher that takes over games like Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, and the 2K series. Now, Sony hasn't really been one to just buy companies just to have rights to their names, and there's a mix of reasons why. Number one would be because Microsoft is actually a much larger financial umbrella than Sony is. I mean, Microsoft literally owns the OS that the majority of the world runs their businesses off of, and not to mention the software that a lot of them run their businesses off of that OS on. Crazy to compare against a company that essentially just makes cameras, gaming consoles, and TVs. So on that note, Take-Two is valued at about $25 billion, which is a huge chunk of change for Sony. And not to mention that that evaluation is made pre-GTA 6. Once GTA 6 launches, I'd imagine that evaluation is probably just going to go up, right? So if Sony wants to take over Take-Two Gaming, they're going to want to do it quickly. In Take-Two's most recent quarterly meeting, they projected that in the fiscal year of 2024 to 25, that they're projected to make about $8 billion. And that $8 billion could essentially be a rebate for the purchase of Take-Two by Sony, and they could essentially acquire a $25 billion business for about $17 billion. So if they catch this game before GTA 6 launches, then they could probably make a killing on it. But on that note, it does mean that they're going to have to include PC and Microsoft-based games. Their projected earnings of $8 billion is obviously including PC and Xbox, which means that they're going to have to include those platforms in order to make that money back. And I'm sure that after spending $25 billion, they're going to want that money back. So if you're worried that there is going to be an exclusivity clause for GTA 6, even if Sony happens to manage to squeeze to grab Take-Two Gaming before the game launches, I would not sweat it, because an $8 billion rebate on a $25 billion game sounds like a really good first year after acquiring a studio as large as Take-Two. By the way, they would still have to go through all of the clauses and everything through court systems in order to acquire this game studio, and you know that Microsoft is going to do everything that they can possibly do to make sure that it doesn't happen. And again, Microsoft has a bigger financial backbone, which means more lawyers, more power, and more blockades for Sony to actually acquire Take-Two. It would probably take way longer than people expect. If you look at everything that Microsoft had to go through in order to acquire Activision Blizzard, total of almost a year exactly before the Activision Blizzard acquisition was complete. And this game is projected to launch between 2024 and 2025, which is going to mean that the timer is already ticking. Which, by the way, Take-Two still has to bite on this whole idea. Take-Two can literally just say, no, I don't want to be purchased. We have a great year coming up. We have more games to come. We're going to be remastering Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption 3 is obviously on the table. We have our 2K games. GTA 6 is going to be one of the largest launches in American history. This is probably not going to be something that they're going to want to sell, and especially not for $25 billion. Because think of it on the reverse, that they're going to make $8 billion coming really soon in their next year. Why would they want to sell their company for lower than their bottom dollar would be in a projected future? I'd imagine that Sony grabbing Take-Two is probably just simply not going to happen. In fact, if it just doesn't simply make sense for somebody to just go off and spend $25 billion on the company and then just like let them launch the game without any benefits to Sony PlayStation players. The real benefits would be to get like DLC early, have like some form of like PlayStation exclusivity, which they're going to have to basically cook from the ground up before the game launches, which would, I think, inevitably almost delay GTA 6 even further, which is something that nobody wants. A really good bang for Sony's buck right now would probably be like Square Enix or Capcom. Final Fantasy series always fries with those PlayStation players, and I feel like the PlayStation demographic really likes that type of like single player, high graphics, premium title game that, you know, that's kind of like PlayStation's stamp. I think that Take-Two would make a huge mistake in buying and getting in bed with Sony right now. So essentially, I just wanted to really just like debunk the whole rumor that's going to happen that Microsoft is going to be like kind of like in the outs of the GTA franchise and the 2K franchise and even Red Dead Redemption at this point. I don't think that anybody's going to be missing out. I don't think that Sony's going to be going in and making a hefty purchase right before this game launches. To be completely honest with you, I think it would be a huge mistake if Take-Two actually bit on any type of acquisition right now before GTA 6 even launched, because their value is just going to continue to just traject on an upward spiral. So if anybody was worried about Sony retaliating against like the Microsoft Blizzard acquisition, I would probably just like backpedal on being any concerned or any type of worries when it comes down to it, especially if you're a Microsoft gamer. It's probably not going to happen. And if they did happen in some crazy world and they pulled off like the merger of the lifetime before GTA 6 launched, I still think that it would come out on Microsoft platforms. So do not worry. I think everything's going to be fine. If you're hyped for GTA 6 and you want to keep hearing realistic expectations for what's actually happening in behind the scenes of GTA 6, definitely like and subscribe. Keep an eye out for my next video. Take a look at my older videos and have a great day, guys. Go Birds.